What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao, bringing you the news on this typhoon day in Taiwan. Work, school, and businesses have all come to a standstill as the country prepares for the arrival of the strongest typhoon to make landfall since 2016. You're looking at live images of conditions on the coast of Yilan. Now, Typhoon Gaemi is gaining strength and is expected to make landfall on the northeast coast on Wednesday evening. The Central Weather Administration is warning of high winds and extreme rainfall as Gaemi intensifies. The military has deployed nearly 30,000 soldiers for typhoon relief efforts as communities prepare for potential serious damage. We begin our coverage with Rick Lowert, who is in Yilan, where the typhoon will hit first.
This is Nangfang Ao Harbour on Taiwan's east coast. It's one of the largest fishing harbours in Taiwan, and it's here that in a number of hours Typhoon Gaemi is going to hit. It's just under 200 kilometres from here at the moment, and whilst things may seem peaceful here in the harbour, on the coast just outside we've seen huge waves, big winds. All of the fishing boats have come here into the relative safety of the harbour, but as the winds pick up, the waves pick up, and there's also one of the highest tides of the year, the fishermen that we've been speaking to here are worried about damages to their boats. In the meantime, the Coast Guard here are patrolling the coast. They're warning people not to come and watch the waves. They're saying that there is a potential danger to lives.
目前本所正在实施观浪劝离勤务，那采定检及机动巡逻的方式，针对海边逗留观浪的民众实施劝导及驱离。那再次提醒各位民众，在台风期间呢，请不要到海边进行逗留，甚至实施那个戏水及观浪的活动。
Typhoon Gaemi is now growing in strength and speed, and it's expected to make landfall this evening, not far from here. Communities like this one, which will face the full force of the typhoon, are now battening down the hatches. Alex Chen and Rick Lowett in Yilan County for TaiwanPlus.
Elsewhere in the country, people are evacuating their homes ahead of the expected flooding brought on by the typhoon. Tiffany Wong reports.
Bracing for destruction, residents on Taiwan's east coast clear out from their mountainside homes as Typhoon Gaemi approaches. It's the first typhoon to make landfall this year and is expected to hit the country on Wednesday.
为什么会全山站10到15零摄领？那是因为那个土石流，就是我们那个后山04、03开始崩落，然后它土石流已经下来到这个无名溪出口这里了。
And many business owners are closing shop. 21 out of 22 cities and counties have announced school and office closures. Only the Jinmen Islands remain clear of the typhoon's projected path. Elsewhere, there's a sense of calm before the storm.
Here in Taipei, the streets are empty and only a few convenience stores are open, as local authorities are warning people not to go outside unless necessary. Now, office buildings like these are closed, and many of them have prepared barricades and sandbags as they wait for the worst of the storm to hit.
At the Central Emergency Operations Center, President Lai Ching-te asked local authorities to ensure that the order to halt classes and work would extend through the evening when the typhoon is forecast to hit the hardest.
所以我希望我们这个放假应该有办法晚上嘛，因为有时候地方政府下达的命令放假是白天，但是我们要 cover 到晚上，因为晚上也有上课。
The military has also been deployed to prepare to help in disaster-prone areas on the east coast. The typhoon has taken them away from the annual Hanguang exercises meant to test their disaster response capabilities. Now, with a real natural disaster heading this way, the whole country's response systems will have to be mobilized. Andy Xue and Tiffany Wong in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
And with Typhoon Gaemi fast approaching, Taiwan's 3,000 homeless people are also preparing for extreme weather, looking for shelter. The Taipei government is set to open 2 shelters tonight to provide food and water for people who need it. But these locations will not open until 5 p.m. at the earliest. Before then, people without homes will need to find a safe place to stay. Many are waiting inside the Taipei main station, where homeless people often gather until the shelters open.
白天会在大厅啊。 那晚上那 K8 会开放，他们就可以下去 K8 避风避雨。那如果说有人不愿意去的话，我们就会来规限。像我们今天晚上差不多9、10点，我们还会再来，就劝 劝导他们去 K8。
Outside Taiwan, Typhoon Gaemi has brought heavy rain to the Philippines. Though the storm hasn't directly hit the country, it has strengthened monsoon winds there, causing flooding in northern areas like Manila. Work and school have been called off in the capital region. Now, this comes just days after another storm hit the south of the country, killing 8 people. Taiwan's military is wrapping up live fire drills on its outlying islands as part of annual exercises practicing how to defend the country. As Jaime Ocon explains, that defense starts just off the coast of China.
Taiwanese ground forces are sharpening their skills on the outlying islands. On Penghu, they're practicing targeting enemy drones. And on Matsu, armored vehicles roll through the streets. Taiwan's military is holding live fire drills as part of its largest military war games, the Hangguang exercise. These annual drills test Taiwan's ability to defend against a potential Chinese invasion. Part of the exercise planned for Taiwan's main island have been canceled due to incoming Typhoon Gaemi. But others farther away in the outlying islands are going ahead as planned. This drill here simulated defending against an attack on an airport in Jinmen, which sits less than 10 kilometers away from China.
在跟航警做任务的交接，那交接的内容大概就是突入的机降的敌人，他因为这个跟航警接战之后，航警状况不利，退守到塔台。
During this year's drills, the outlying islands will be the only place the military will use live ammunition. That's because these islands play an important role in stopping an attack from China.
很重要是澎湖的位置，你可以把它想象成像是一个 midway 就是如果中国解放军攻击的话，它从西边来的部队就会面对台湾本岛 homeland 的这个 fire。 还有就是澎湖的这个 anti-ship fire 变成一个所谓的 crossfire， 所以对于解放军来讲是很致命的。
The outlying islands play a vital role for Taiwan's security as they are the first line of defense. Security researchers say holding on to the Penghu Islands provides a strategic advantage as they allow the military to flank Chinese ships as they move towards Taiwan's main island.
Maintain that, not quite first strike, but responsive strike posture. And so testing these capabilities, testing the capabilities of Penghu, I think are really, really important. It'll still take, I think, about 12 hours to cross the Taiwan Strait, I believe on even the shortest point. So that's plenty of time for Taiwanese missiles to be hitting and bombarding any sort of forces that come over.
Although only 20% of Taiwan's entire army is stationed on the outlying islands, the country hopes these drills can show what an enemy would have to deal with, even before making it to the mainland, proving that while small, these islands could help Taiwan pack a big punch. Ryan Wu and Jaime Ocon for TaiwanPlus.
U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris is hitting the ground running in her campaign for the country's top job. She's held her first campaign rally and took the opportunity to slam Republican nominee Donald Trump as a felon. Joyce Tseng has the latest.
With less than 4 months left in the race for the White House, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris has made her debut on the campaign trail for the first time at the top of the presidential ticket in the critical battleground state of Wisconsin, pitching her record as a prosecutor against that of convicted felon and Republican nominee Donald Trump.
I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
In an early boost for her Democratic Party, Harris leads Trump 44% to 42% among registered voters in one national poll conducted in the 2 days since current President Joe Biden dropped out of the race. Biden had been trailing slightly behind former President Trump while he was still in the running. And with a new nominee, Democrat heavyweights are excited.
We see very clearly how nervous the Republicans are about our new nominee. Well, they ain't seen nothing yet.
The Harris campaign says it's secured enough party delegates on their side to claim the presidential nomination and raised a stunning flood of donations, now at more than $100 million since Biden stepped down. Harris is also set to inherit the $91 million left in Biden's campaign, which Trump's team has called a brazen money grab, filing a complaint against the funds with the Federal Election Commission. Republican leaders say whether it's Biden or Harris at the top of the ticket makes little difference to their strategy, attacking what they say are Democratic failures.
This election will be about policies and not personalities, and we are delighted to line up the record of President Trump against the Biden-Harris record. Every area of public policy is a disaster because the Biden-Harris administration made it that way.
But among Democratic voters, fresh hope over their new candidate, including from those in the swing state of Pennsylvania.
People are energized. And I'll tell you what, I happen to believe, and I could be totally wrong, I believe we're going to have a blue landslide.
Carmela's going to have to spend a little time in PA. She's going to have to get to know the Rust Belt. I think she could pull it off.
Meanwhile, President Biden is back in Washington after a few days spent recovering from COVID at home in Delaware. He's preparing to address the nation about his decision not to seek re-election. But one thing Biden's already made clear is that he will finish out his term as president and actively support his successor in what's now become Harris's race to the White House. Justin Wu and Joyce Zhen for TaiwanPlus.
Meanwhile, the director of the U.S. Secret Service has stepped down over the agency's botched response to the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump. In a letter to agency staff, Kimberly Cheadle said she takes full responsibility for the security lapse. There have been bipartisan calls from Congress for her resignation. President Joe Biden thanked Cheadle for her decades of public service. An independent review into the assassination attempt is ongoing. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says a deal to secure the release of hostages held by Hamas in Gaza is close. He was speaking in Washington, D.C. to families of the hostages. Protesters gathered outside his hotel while other demonstrators demanded a ceasefire. The war in Gaza has killed more than 39,000 Palestinians, and Israel has faced international condemnation for its assault on the enclave. Netanyahu is expected to meet with U.S. President Joe Biden later this week after addressing Congress. The Taiwan government is urging high-risk people to get vaccinated for Mpox after a rise in cases this month. The Centers for Disease Control announced 4 new locally transmitted cases on Tuesday. This makes July the month with the most cases since last October.
总计7月已经累计有13例，是从去年10月以来这10个月当中单月的新高，而且预期整个夏季因为人潮拥挤的活动还是持续在开办，这个疫情会持续的升温。
Archeologists are putting together a dig team to recover suspected historical artifacts in southern Taiwan. The Jiayi location is the site of a planned packaging facility for semiconductor giant TSMC. But work has stopped since the discovery of the possible relics. Some people say the pay for the dig team is barely higher than that of farm workers, so is unlikely to attract many takers. But others say the rare chance to do archaeology in Taiwan could be exciting.
就计划嘉义县政府已经同意抢救，所以他已经考古团队进去把那些文化遗址做抢救。那抢救完的话，就可以再复工。目前就是抢救阶段。
Thank you for joining us today for What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media to get more of our reports. Finally, we have more images of strong typhoon winds across different parts of the country. I'm Eric Gao, and I'll see you later on TaiwanPlus News. Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. For more stories from Taiwan and around the rest of the world, please visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow us on social media.